Hello, YouTube. I want to, as briefly as possible, but probably not briefly at all, walk you through this model I have been working on. I've got a case of the mush mouth today, and my allergies are being mean to me, so I don't know. I might have to fix my talking a little bit here. Anyways, this is what I call a sundog. It is a hybrid of an aircraft and a mecha. This one here, the Falx, is designed as an air superiority fighter. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about, the things roll in game occasionally. So like when I say it's an air superiority fighter, I'm basically telling you that, that's what its stats are set up to be in game, but it informs the overall shape of the thing too. When I say that it's hybrid, it's a mecha. It's also a mecha. Let me show you what I mean here. So if I click this pose here, I can jump up to here. You can see, it also transforms. I'm going to hide my hanger now because it's getting in the way. Yeah, the hands are positioned so it can hold a firearm like this. The Falx is designed to use guided weapons mostly. So it's got all these, laser emitters up here. But, I had to give it hands in the case that it needed to use a firearm too. Because you can't, aim a gun without them. The pose isn't 100% perfect here, but you get the idea. It could be 100% perfect, and in fact, I don't know why it's not, but I'm not going to fix it on video here. You see what I'm doing. We'll talk about this more in a minute here. I'm going to go back to this position real quick so I can talk about the overall shape. So we've got these, double delta wings, right? It's not shaped like a raptor, really, which is fine. I took a lot of inspiration from Delta planes for this, and also a lot of FAXX and NGAD concept art. It's got some features that you wouldn't see on, like, the real-world NGAD, probably. Like, it's got these canards here, and it's got these tail stabilizers here. Those are there because I think they look cool. In the real world, you might not have these because they're not super stealthy, but I don't care about that. The stealth design dogma philosophy, whatever you want to call it, I think overall makes aircraft look a lot less cool than they could. You lose a lot of cool factor when you have to follow every single stealth rule, so I don't. I'm sure there's going to be a reason in the setting for why I don't have to do that. There kind of is, like, Sundogs takes place in sort of, the ethos of sci-fi that incorporates a lot of, human psychic abilities, ESP, things like that, integrating the brain with a computer. And so human perception, extrasensory perception, you can't use stealth to hide from that. You can't use stealth to hide from ESP. It'll still help you against, like, missile guidance to some extent, but, like, you know what I'm saying. There's other stuff going on. Anyways, yeah, double delta wings, tail fins, and canards define the overall shape here. And I kind of put a leading edge onto the fuselage here. It's not exactly the leading edge you'd put on a wing, because these wings have to move around, but it kind of has that shape. I'm really proud of the way the fuselage turned out, and the way it lines up with the wings really nicely. You'll also notice that I have 4 intakes here. 2 big ones on the top, 2 smaller ones on the bottom. This is so that the engines can get a ton of air, no matter what position they're in, but there's only 2 engines. You can see back here, 2 engines. And, oh, this is a slightly older version of the design, actually. Okay, there you go. This is a different blend file. I forgot to update the one in my hangar, but that's okay. Over here, I changed this just slightly so that the engines could be more articulated. Oh, is that a small problem in there? There's a small problem in there. Okay, well, I wanted to make sure that you could do thrust vectoring with the geometry as is, and you didn't have to, like, imagine exactly where that could come from. you can see there's like a seam here. There's like an edge. You could move these around. So you can get some thrust vectoring that way. What is happening here, though? Is this... Oh, the back edge just doesn't quite line up. Okay. It's a big model. There's going to be small problems here and there. That's a thing I can fix pretty easily. I don't like how the tail looks as much as I do here, as I do in the other side, but, you know, I want to have all of those technical things be as possible as I can, you know? I want it to look... I want the shape of the thing to accommodate what I say that it can do. All right. Yeah, we're looking at the bottom here. There's a small space there for it to carry a firearm. It's sort of carved out of the center. I like the look. Oh, wait. I like the way that looks a lot. Oh, and I did have to change this panel a bit, too. Yeah, so we're already seeing some changes that I made. It's okay, though. That's mostly cosmetic stuff. Let's see. Right. So I say that it's an air superiority aircraft. And that basically means in-game that it has the best evasion stat, the best like aerial evasion stat. It's going to be very good at dodging attacks. It's going to have special abilities and special moves it can do. Some, you know, dodges that the player can do that other aircraft don't have access to. Stuff like that. It's going to be very evasive. It's going to have probably some bonuses for chasing down enemies. You know, it's a lock-on guided laser specialist. So these look like missiles here. They're not actually missiles. They're like laser emitters, but they're stylized to look like missiles because this is your guided weapon in-game, you know? And this is your firearm over here. It's a small firearm, you know, kind of an auxiliary weapon. Okay, so now if I click here, I can go into pose mode again. And... Uh-oh. There we are. I have some knowledge about Blender, but sometimes I'm still mystified by it. Anyways, so now here in sunset mode, the other one is called sunrise mode. See what I did there? Yeah, so you can see that he's got these legs here. He's got this foot, he's got these toes, this ankle, this heel bone. All of this is articulated, by the way. Like if I turn on bones here, you can see that all of this stuff is movable and posable. Can I just do that right here? Yeah, see? All of this is movable. This is just the exact same mesh on the exact same armature, just in a different pose. I'm really proud of doing that, instead of just making a different model that mostly looks the same. I really like that this is just all articulated and rigged properly. Maybe not properly. I'm not super good at this, but you know. You can kind of see that I've got some flaps here in the wing. Da-da-da-da-da. Very nice. I don't know if I'll ever need those, but I want to have all these features. I want to have, you know, all of these features in the model so that when I make renders with this thing, I can have it do whatever I need it to do. And there's not going to be a point where I think, ah, nuts. It's not able to do this one thing that I want. And there's a slight error right here. Not going to fix that right now, but, you know, just future-proofing it so it can do all the stuff that I want it to do later. You can see how there's like a slightly flexible section here, this like neck area. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like having this edge here, this sort of, not like a crest, but like, you know, the way this comes down from the fuselage. I like that a lot. There's a lot of small details about this thing that I really like, but maybe can't articulate why I like them. A lot of this comes down to rule of cool, what I think looks good. And that's all arbitrary, of course, but, you know. And of course, I guess like rule of cool is sort of informed by what does work in real life, but we don't want to follow every single rule. Like, for example, these tail fins. I have not seen any like NGAD render that has tail fins because you don't need them for what NGAD is supposed to be. And, you know, this aircraft probably doesn't need them either, but They are there because I want it to look a little bit like a bird when it's standing on the ground like this, a little bit like a crow or a raven or something like that. And you're not going to have that effect if you don't have any tail feathers, right? Tail feathers. That's what those are there for. Folding the wings up doesn't look exactly right, but we still got that impression on the rear end that I wanted. Folding the wings up makes it look more like a dinosaur or something, but that's also okay, you know? I think it's fine to lump birds of prey in with pterodactyls and stuff that, you know, would be an inspiration for an air superiority fighter. I think having that dinosaur DNA in it is also really good. I like it a lot. Mixed messaging slightly, but it's not a problem, I don't think. Like you can see here on the wing, I've got... Sorry about the scrolling, my mouse wheel is broken. But I've got a mechanism here for all of the movement. You know, this axle here, this circle here that it can rotate on, this part that rotates. It's all there. Yeah, I don't use this rotation near as much as I could. Here's another position where it becomes more obvious what it's for. You know, like if you need to make space in your hangar or you're on like an aircraft carrier deck or something, you could do this. I like the landing gear a lot. You know, there's lots of aspects of this model that could be more detailed, but I think it has the right amount of detail overall. Got some little ones in the back here. These auxiliary jets, which you could use for much shorter takeoffs. I don't think they're big enough for a full vertical takeoff, but you could definitely make your takeoffs shorter with that. A lot shorter. And you can use them in flight, too. Or as, like, jump jets. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in sunset mode, you could use these to boost around. It's going to have abilities for that, too. You know. Birds are good at jumping, right? So your mecha that's shaped like a bird should be good at jumping, too. And what better way to do that than to give it jump jets? You hear what I'm saying. You get me. You feel me. What else do I need to show you about this? Did my jump jet spiel just finish it off? Maybe it did. Yeah, a thing I really like about the jump jets is that they serve a function both, you know, in air and on the ground. That's what I don't like about the rest of the leg structure. Like this foot and this heel, they don't do anything for you while you're in the air. Which is kind of a bummer, but what are you gonna do? That's the one thing that I'd say makes this not a perfect design. It's that it's got some features that, you know, it's got these feet that don't do anything in the air. They're not huge, but an aircraft really doesn't want to have any extra weight. It's not dead weight because it's vital for sunset mode, but, you know, it's not double purpose. So that's kind of a slight problem. Oh, one more thing to talk about here, at least one. There's no canopy here. I've just got these sensors. I've got these little cameras, little sensors. I like them a lot. They're really cool. I haven't decided exactly if Sundogs use direct brain to system interfaces or if the pilot has like a helmet, you know, that shows them everything they need to know via those sensors. I'm not sure which one it is. The Sundogs universe is science fiction, so I've incorporated like ESP, human telekinetic abilities, you know, extrasensory perception, that kind of thing into the setting, because I like it a lot. It's a really cool theme. I haven't seen it done in a setting that focuses on aircraft or aerial combat a lot, so that's kind of a cool idea. That's kind of neat. You can look at the rulebook that's on Drive-Thru-RPG right now if you want to see what that looks like in terms of gameplay. I am working on a new version of the game right now that will be out when it's out eventually. that will do things a little bit differently, but a lot of the main ideas are in the rulebook as is. Yeah, I'm really proud of this thing. I love it a lot. It's really, really, really cool. What am I doing on time? 16 minutes. That's actually not bad. That's really good. I think I hit all of my notes. There's one more thing, though. You might be thinking, hey, this isn't a super stealthy design. There's a lot of things here that break stealth dogma. Or, what's the word? Not dogma, but like... tactics? No, what's the word? You're thinking of it. You know what word I'm trying to get to. But yeah, there's some stuff here that's not too stealthy. Canards are not perfectly stealthy. Tail fins not perfectly stealthy. I kind of feel like stealth, the rules that you have to follow to make a machine stealthy, kind of take away some of the cool factor. Like if you look at NGAD renders, they're kind of cool, but the machine is almost too simple to be cool. It's almost too smooth and featureless. I want it to have a really striking appearance, and you can't do that with an aircraft that's perfectly stealthy. It won't really have a super interesting shape if it's perfectly stealthy. So we had to break some of those rules. And besides, stealth doesn't really help you a lot when your enemy is using ESP to lock onto you, rather than like just radar. You know, computer-assisted extrasensory perception follows different rules than a radar cross-section. You know what I mean? My throat's really drying out. Yeah. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to get to. I just wanted you to see this. I wanted to show it off. Let's go back to the other window real quick here. You might see me calling this thing something different in the future. The name Falx is kind of a placeholder. I used to really like the name, but I don't know. It's growing sour. I might change it to something else in the future. So yeah, if you see this plane under a different name, that's why I decided to change it. I can do that. I might just decide to change it. Yeah. So you're gonna see an end card in a minute here. First time I'm using those. That'll show you my other channel and my socials. There's a lot of renders of this thing on my Tumblr. If you want to look at that, you can do that. There's gonna be more in the future. Mostly they're just shots of this thing in the hangar from different angles and perspectives, but you can go look at that if you want. There's a couple animations. I recommend doing that. Go to my Tumblr, check that out. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Leave a comment if you have anything to say about this. I'd appreciate that. Thank you, and bye-bye.